When you realized that Trump had won the White House, the Senate, probably the House, he's going to get another 2 on the Supreme Court probably. In other words, a complete quick clean sweep. He won the popular vote as well as the Electoral College. Did you cry?
No, no, I'm not. But I'm not a crier. If I was more emotional, maybe I would have.
Not a tear? Nothing?
I mean, I was streaming all night. If there were any tears there, you would have seen them.
Destiny is absolutely unraveling after Donald Trump's election victory. He recently appeared on Piers Morgan Uncensored, where Piers didn't hold back, pressing him hard on the results. You can see it in Destiny's face and hear it in his voice. He's scrambling to cope with the reality of Trump's win. Now, in classic Destiny fashion, he's predicting all kinds of doom under Trump's leadership. So, let's dive in and enjoy watching Destiny try to make sense of it all.
Here's how my final guest today reacted in real time as the results came in.
They're still outstanding. Are they not counting them here? What's going on, Vadim? You should know this. Why isn't Philadelphia counting votes? I want to know what is going on. What the hell is going on right now?
Well, by popular demand, Destiny rejoins me now. Destiny, I can't imagine this could have gone any worse for you, could it?
There are ways it could have gone worse. I think the writing was probably on the wall. Obviously, I have to do a stream for. Well, I could think of a number of ways it could have gone worse. We could have lost every single state. Could have been the Reagan landslide that everybody wanted it to be. But I think the writing was probably on the wall when the Florida vote started rolling in, and you saw that Miami had flipped red. But listen, we got to do a show. You know as well as I do. You got to keep it entertaining for 12 hours. So we were engaging in some high-level Bernie math into the deep hours of the night, trying to see if there was a way for Harris to win. And it was a fun time.
I mean, look, it's been an absolute debacle for the Democrats. Why do you think it's been such a crushing defeat?
Honestly, I think that I understand that we have to keep our jobs and we have to make sure that our jobs are important by telling people how important they are. But I think the real answer, because all the analysis was done earlier by all these panelists, especially Roger Stone, who's an American trader, was absolutely ludicrous. I think the actual answer is Americans just kind of vote based on the economic vibes they feel. I think that when Biden won in 2020, it was because COVID. Everybody felt horrible. The economy was like everything was crazy. Not just the economy, everything was crazy. So people voted for Biden. I think that when Biden came in, I think we had a lot of inflation early on. People still feel the cumulative effects. So then they vote Trump. I think it's probably as simple as that. You can try to reach to all of these other things, but basically every other point brought up earlier was just factually completely and totally ridiculous and incorrect. The idea of weaponizing the DOJ and then bringing up New York State. The fact that Donald Trump has done every single thing that you guys earlier were accusing the Biden admin of doing, except 20 times worse. I don't think at the end of the day, Americans don't care about that. If you talk to an average person, they're not going to tell you about the Department of Justice is weaponizing, blah, blah. They're just going to say man, shit's expensive right now. Fuck. And that's about it, I think.
I mean, that is partly true, certainly on the economic part. I agree with you. And I think I would add immigration and the southern border crisis as being a major added component to that, because people resented the fact that not only could they not afford to feed their kids, but there were all these people coming in illegally on the border and putting extra pressure on public services and taking jobs and so on. I think you can't discount that.
That's not.
Well, you would discount it, but I wouldn't.
No, I would discount it because the Republicans discounted it. If the border was a huge issue, then the border bill wouldn't have been shut down. They would have negotiated harder on it. But they didn't. They shut it down because they knew it wasn't a real issue. People care about things like the border and immigration because Republicans told them to care about things like the border and immigration. The reality is unemployment is incredibly low. If you want a really big top line takeaway from this whole thing that would be interesting that nobody will discuss because it's incredibly boring, perhaps the Federal Reserve targets politically should actually target things like inflation more than unemployment. Maybe on a political level, maybe it was worth it to suffer 8 or 9% unemployment rather than so aggressively trying to target an inflation figure and keeping unemployment low. Maybe, but that's a macro econ question.
It's clear Destiny was having a rough time, even if he tried to hide it. You could see it in his demeanor during the stream. It was obvious he was struggling to process Trump's win. I mean, did you notice how uncomfortable he looked within the first few seconds? Let me know in the comments if you picked up on that. It's like he's desperately trying to cope but can't hold it together. Now, about his claim that voters base their decisions on economic vibes. Sure, the economy plays a huge role in elections, but reducing it to just vibes is beyond simplistic. It's almost as if Destiny is ignoring the bigger picture. Inflation, rising costs, stagnant wages, these aren't just vibes. They're real issues hitting American families hard. And then there's illegal immigration. Destiny says voters don't care about it, but that's just not true. Look at poll after poll. Immigration consistently ranks as a top concern for Americans. What Destiny also doesn't seem to grasp is that the so-called border bill wasn't really a bill to protect the border. For one, we already have laws on the books designed to secure the border, but they're not being enforced. The head of Border Patrol has openly admitted this. Instead of strengthening enforcement, this border bill was about creating more legal pathways for millions of immigrants. If the purpose of a border bill is to secure the border, how does making it easier for millions to enter legally achieve that? It doesn't. That's the issue. Destiny claims to be smart, but he's either willfully ignoring these facts or he just doesn't get it. And the idea that people don't care about illegal immigration because Republicans told them to, come on, that's insulting to voters who see their communities affected by these policies. Whether it's increased competition for jobs, pressure on public services, or rising housing costs. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like. Let's dive back in and see where this debate goes next.
When you get a result like this, Destiny, notwithstanding your chilling self-confidence, which I obviously admire as a trait, do you have a moment of self-awareness where you just go in the mirror, wow, I was so wrong?
Do you think that the Republicans had a moment of self-awareness in 2020?
Well, it wasn't the question. I just wonder whether you had a moment of self-awareness.
I look at the figures as they come in. I try to analyze what the public is. But this idea that like the Democratic Party needs to do some huge soul searching after the Republicans, tried to coup their way back into office when they lost the last election. Nah, I think that's ridiculous. I think the double standard is ridiculous. I think that the passes that you guys give Trump are absolutely insane. I think at the end of the day, it's just voting on your general economic trends. The only tragic thing is that because the economy has been righted in such a positive way, and nobody knows it because nobody talks about it, but the United States is outperforming basically every other country in the world on metrics like inflation, on metrics like unemployment, on metrics like real wages. Now that the ship has been righted, we're in a situation again where thankfully a Republican can come in after a Democrat has, I complained about this before on your show, after a Democrat has righted the ship after an economic catastrophe. Trump did it after Obama, and now Trump is going to do it again after Biden, and now he can try to take credit for all the things that he wasn't able to do in his administration, right? He couldn't pass infrastructure. Biden did. Now when stuff is getting built, he's going to take credit for it. He couldn't bring manufacturing like chips back to the United States when he tried to tariff China. Biden did with the CHIPS Act. Now Trump could take credit for it as that stuff gets built. So, the cycle of politics continues.
When you realize that Trump had won the White House, the Senate, probably the House, he's going to get another 2 on the Supreme Court probably. In other words, a complete clean sweep. He won the popular vote as well as the Electoral College. Did you cry?
No, I'm not. But I'm not a crier. If I was more emotional, maybe I would have.
Not a tear? Nothing?
I mean, I was streaming all night. If there were any tears there, you would have seen them.
Destiny,
I will say though, I haven't seen any Democrats try to take over the Capitol building. We'll see on January 6th. Maybe I shouldn't hold my breath, but we'll see.
Well, actually, the odd thing actually has been the singular lack of protest. I mean, I felt this at Madison Square Garden when I went to that rally, and the Secret Service told me they were expecting thousands of protesters, and 150 people turned up. And I've been really struck being in New York. There've been no protests whatsoever at this thumping Trump win. It's nothing like 2016, which makes me think the Democrats massively miscalculated in trying to continue to play the he's Hitler and blah, 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 because that's not what people are clearly feeling, or they really would be out in mass protests.
Piers Morgan made an excellent point. There haven't been any major protests or public outcries since Trump's win. Sure, we've seen people melting down on TikTok and social media, and while that's entertaining, the streets have been quiet. Destiny, however, is trying his best to spin the narrative, claiming, oh, there's nothing to change. Really? This has become a recurring theme across left-leaning pundits. Joy Reid claims Kamala Harris ran a flawless campaign. Others excuse the loss, saying She did the best she could given the circumstances. And now Destiny chimes in with, the Democrats don't need to change anything. If everything was perfect, how did they lose so badly? It's like they refused to take a good hard look in the mirror. The fact is, the left-wing media and influencers got it completely wrong. Their polls were wrong. Their predictions were wrong. People like Destiny, David Pakman, and others left-wing commentators are losing subscribers because they've been feeding their audience false hope for months. And now, instead of reflecting, they're spinning tales. Destiny's narrative is basically, oh, we fixed everything, and now Trump is going to ruin it. Fixed what exactly? Inflation is still high. The border crisis remains a disaster, and crime is out of control. The economy isn't righted, as he claims. It's just limping along. And let's talk about popular consent. Trump not only won the Electoral College, but also took the popular vote, which must sting even more for people like Destiny. Their entire worldview has been rejected by the voters, and they can't handle it. You can see it in his voice, his words, and his body language. He's struggling to process how wrong he was. Instead of owning up to their failures, the left is doubling down on the same tactics. They refuse to introspect, to question why their messaging failed, or to admit they've been alienating the very voters they need. This unwillingness to reflect will only lead to more losses. And honestly, it's entertaining to watch. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about Destiny's attempt to cope with Trump's victory? Do you agree that the left's refusal to self-reflect is their biggest weakness? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts.